Hi guys, CryptoZard here. It's time to give you something a little bit different. Today I'm going to do a tier list on the soulbound reward cards in Splinterlands. I'm going to give you my opinion on each and individual one. So stay tuned and subscribe for more play to earn content. So let me explain how I broke down my tier list basically. We've got Beast, Amazing, Good, Alright, Meh and Bad. And they're kind of all self-explanatory. And the middle ones are kind of like the alright cards. Like they're kind of situational, but like good situational. You've got Meh and Bad, where Meh is kind of like, you can play them sometimes. Meh is like, you would probably never play it. And Amazing and Beast are like the key cards you're going for. So the cards we'll start off with should be the summoners, as they're a small batch, and I kind of have a kind of strong opinion towards them, because yes, they do allow you to play the Galactus cards, but they don't really give you any value in the game apart from that. So let's start with the Death one, which I kind of think is meh. But if you really look at it, let's go to Splinter cards. And the -1 health, you got Thaddeus, which is basically the same thing, but with minus magic, which is another factor. And yeah, you get to play the Galactus card, but in my mind, it's sort of like a lesser version of Thaddeus. Unless you're trying to force a Galactus card in. So that's why I have it in there. And it's kind of the same reason I have the water one in there. So if you go to look at its +1 life, which is good, but an extra life maybe saves you a turn, but it's not amazing. Same one as -1 life, it's not an amazing like thing in the game. And yeah, I maybe might not be rating having a Galactus card in the game, but for me, these two are definitely the worst. And for the next one, we can go with one that I can like. Let's change it up. We'll change it up and we'll go with the Dragon one, which I think is pretty amazing. Because out of all of them, it gives you +1 speed, which is always going to be a good factor. And obviously it's Dragon, so it allows you to play anything. And it allows you to play the Galactus cards. So out of all of them, I'd say that's the best one. So I have to put it in the amazing category. But they're all kind of underwhelming, but having more speed is always great in the game. So let's go along with the green one, which I like to call Uncle Donkey Kong. And we have him sitting at a good, because he's good. And obviously the minus speed is good. But when you're talking about green, which is kind of slow anyway, it's kind of like you're minusing the speed, which you're not catching up with anyway. But what it does allow you to do is play with Korra. And obviously I said I might not be rating being able to play the Galactus cards, but Korra is a big factor. But currently in ranked, I feel people have been trying to force her in the game, and it's not been working as well as Korra works in Bulls. So in my mind, that's why it's in the good category. And then the final one we have, where is he or she, is the Red Llama, which we have also in good. I think he's alright. Obviously there might not be no special Galactus card to pull out from red, but the -2 shields is an alright factor. In the mirror match it will play a factor. Drink every time I say factor. But in the mirror match it will make a difference. And out of all of them, like in my mind, you want the summoner to be able to work in majority of instances. That's why I like having a minus range summoner doesn't work as well, because range is a very niche thing to go with, and if you was, you'd go with one. So that's why I feel these ones are good, but not amazing compared to this one, which pluses you. And if it's a plus for you, you can always make a team around it. And then for the final one, we got the light one, which in my mind, I think it's alright. I say he's okay. He's alright, okay. Because in my mind, you're giving Light more shields. Like, if we look at it and we go to Light and Summoners, yeah? Shields. I'll say that same one. Shields. So you got another Summoner that gives you shields. So Light has more shields. So say it's alright, because having a shield's great, but you'll probably play another Summoner for that instance. So it's alright. It's not as bad as these two, but it's not as good as these two. It's definitely not as good as that. So that's where I kind of have the Summoners sitting at for now. Maybe down the line it might change. Maybe we don't have the Galactus cards leveled up enough for us to want to play these Summoners so much so we can get them cards. But that's how I've kind of set up the Summoners for now. But going forward, I'm going to keep it split colour splinter by colour splinter. So we'll start with red. So for the red soulbound cards, considering I had a down note for the Summoners, let's start with a high note and have our first S tier card. And let's go with this one. The Ferox Defender. What can I say about him? Shield repair, shatter. He's an auto play card when it's magic hit shields only. When you get +2 shields, he's an amazing card. Considering he gives you shields and repairs them, he helps himself. Now normally you play 2 cards to have them factor. You might have a Summoner that gives you shields and then you have shield repair from a card. And then the shatters are so nice to have on top. Like, he's an interesting tank to go for because his only defense is him having shields and shield repair. So he's a bit acceptable to magic. But the minute you can have melee can attack from anywhere, this card is going to do so much for your team because he's suddenly going to become a beast attacker and a support card at the same time. So that's why he's definitely my first beast card. He's an amazing card and I can guarantee people can't wait to get some more of him. And for my next card, let's go along with this one. We have him at amazing. For me, I really like Life Leech and Salvage because it's like healing that your monster can do for itself and you can control a lot more. And it can't be affected by affliction. That's why I really like Shield Repair and them 2 abilities because affliction does not affect them. See, I don't know if you know me as a player, but I'm a big fan of Kron, and obviously affliction really affects that. So for me, I really like this card. The other abilities are kind of nice to have for me, and it being 3 mana, 3 damage, 4 speed, 4 health. Like for mana cost, he's amazing, and then the Life Leech. So he should be healing for 2. He should be gaining at least 2 to 1 each time. He's a great card. That's why I had to have him up here in amazing. And for the next one, we will have this shield guy. Alright, I talked about that whole fucking card. And for the next card, we will be picking this guy here. It's kind of funny how this card here and this card here has kind of similar artwork. I wonder if their lure is going to be that matching. But for me, it having double tap and magic, you don't really see that often. It might be the first one in the game. And having rust, considering if you're playing in a mirror match, you're definitely going to come up against some shields. And it'll do good in the light matchup as well. And again, double tap with magic is just amazing. The only downside for it is that it's low on life, so it's susceptible to get opportunities. But if it can get an attack out, 6 damage, obviously it's a high mana cost, but if it can get away from the opportunity, this card will do so much damage. So that's for me, it had to be an amazing. It is an amazing card. And then for the next card, we will pick this one, and I think it's pretty good. I have it as good. Because for me, I really like Life Leech and Salvage. Anything that can heal yourself, that don't get stopped from afflictions, such as like Shield Repair, that's why I rate this card quite highly as well. They're great abilities. And for this to be 3 mana, 3 damage, 4 speed, 4 health, 4 mana cost is amazing. And it can only get stronger. And in a maximizable type, this card will do bits. It will do a lot. It will do a lot for your team. So for me, I think it's a good card. It's not as amazing as this card, as you can tell, but it's definitely a good card. And I kind of have the similar respect for this card. It's a good card. It's not amazing, but it's good. I like the fact that it's got weapons training, so that it can go on to a card that don't attack, which could play a big factor. But the problem is that with red, there's not many cards you could do that with. But it having reach and also having the protection from blast, so if you're going to go up against a mirror match and it's a Yodin, it's a great card to have. So if you just have a taunt card, like you do have here, so it is a perfect combo, these two, if you're going up against a Yodin. But I'm not super fond of this card, but I do like this card. But that's why for me, it was good. It's in the good category. But the problem is, it kind of needs the pairing. But I feel maybe a card will come out that will pair better with it than this card. Because for me, this card's alright. This card's alright. Like, it having taunt at 6 mana is amazing. It is a good factor, and its health for its mana is good. But in my mind, the only reason you'd ever play it is in combo for this, and that combo automatically costs you 14 mana, plus a summon would cost you 18 mana, and then you got to do the rest of your team. So it's only a combo you're playing a high mana game. But this is a card you would play as like a reach card by itself without it doing the rapid training. If you can find a way for it to do rapid training to another card, maybe a neutral or a dragon card for instance, it would be good. Or maybe when Rebellion comes out, when we have the dual summoners, it'll be a bigger factor there. That's why I have this card in alright. And this is another alright one. I feel like red is like across the board. Like they have an amazing card, like a beast card, an alright card, good card. You can tell I did the tier list for like my way of speaking. But the Marty is a great ability, and the damage for mana and its stats is good. But I'm really not a fan of Snare. Snare is a real big situational thing. Its second ability to destroy taunts is good, but again, situational. And it creates a range card, it might miss a lot. So for me, that's why I kind of have it in. It's an alright card. You'll play it, but it won't be the card that makes that factor in the game to win you in. But that's my tier list so far for the red cards. It could change over time as more cards come out. But for now, and also when I've leveled them up more, and instead of just theorising over them and playing in the ghost tournament once with them, I'll be able to like have more experience with them and could maybe change the tier list. But for now, this is how I personally feel about the red cards so far. And next we got my favourite Splinter, the blue Splinter, Water. And for the first card, let's start with another beast card. We got Kulu Mastermind. For me, this card is so amazing. You can't... I feel blue has the best versatility in the deck. The amount of opportunity, sneak, magic, everything it has. I feel the soulbound cards just made it even stronger. But let's start with the Kulu. Him being able to give weapons training to so many great support cards that blue has. And him being an opportunity card, meaning that he doesn't necessarily need to be in, it could be anywhere. And with the new Legendary Summoner, with Possibilist, you can literally play around with the formation of your team so much and him giving cards in that reach position, being able to attack, it's going to be so amazing. And more you level him up, he's just going to be so much better. I can't talk about the card enough. He's so good. That's why he's beast. But the next card we're going to talk about is a little bit of Blasty Blast, and I have it in the good one. I like the blast ability. In my mind, you want to be able to try and do as much extra damage you can on the board, so poison, blast, return fire, magic reflect, all them things there, thorns, are great things. And having affliction and a cheeky bit of extra damage to taunt cards is great. It can work great in the mirror match if they play the Wraith Brute. It's a great card. It can counter green. It's just more utility for blue. Like, blue's definitely a deck that if someone's new to the game, that's the split they should focus on the most. But for me, that's why he's in the good, because he's not super amazing, because again, he's kind of low life, even though the mana cost kind of makes sense for him, but he's susceptible to get killed early, and there's no shield protecting him. But he's a great card, and he's kind of slow, but he's a good card. He's not the card that's going to win in the game. That's the extra bit of juice for your team. The best way to put it to you. But it's the same way of this card. We can call him Donatello, the Ninja Turtle, and for me, I still find it weird that he has range. I thought like he would have melee, or at least. But him giving blue shield repair and Giant Slayer. The Giant Slayer will come up sometimes, but the shield repair is great. Obviously it's very high mana, but but for sneak, he's a great card because the shield will defend him, and he can repair himself or the tank, and he's very quick. So he's a good card. He don't do a lot because obviously he only has a few abilities, but I do like him for the shield repair in blue, so that's why I put him as a good card. He's just a good utility card for you. But a card for me that's pretty amazing is this card. For me, anything that does double tap, like I said, extra damage is key in any form of game. So this being able to do a double tap and piercing, so it's great in the mirror match, great against light, great against red. It's just a great card. I can't speak of it anymore, and it's the perfect partner for Possibilist. You can play with Demonic Shark, this, and it'll be doing so much. It will give Demonic Shark a chance to get his Tremble out because of the piercing, and it's a great card. Obviously they're very high mana cost and low life, but he's made to be the reach target for you. Nothing else, nothing more. But he's an amazing card. He'll do so much for you. That's why, even though he's a bit situational, that's why he's not a beast card. That's the only thing that's not stopping him from being beast, is that you need to kind of play Possibilist or the wall type for her to be able to be well. But it's a great card. And let's talk about one of the non-attack monsters, and the only one I really think is really great. We'll put out another amazing card. This card here, it works great with the Kulu, but even by itself, even if you don't give it the weapons training for 5 mana, the shield, the speed, like the backfire could actually come up with the Kelly. It's got 7 speed, the Rust, so it counters Kelly a little bit, the Marty, so it sets up the next monster. I can't speak about this monster so much anymore, because right now Marty's in the meta. Like, if you can play 2 Martys, that's even greater. That's why there's a card that we're going to be speaking about later that's very high up in this tier list. But Marty's a great ability right now, and it having dodge means the backfire might come up in more instances. And in a mirror match, majority of the time, blue's going to be playing range and melee damage. So it's going to be a great card. That's why I put it in the major category. And if you pair it up with weapons training, it could do so much more things. And the last blue card, we have this one. And for me, we got it again in the major category. Like I said, blue's great, and the soulbound cards has made it even greater. Like I said, salvage, one of my favourite abilities. And for 3 mana, 2 magic, 4 speed, blue is so quick. And considering we say speed is king, this is the reason why blue is so strong. the shatter, so it's perfect in the mirror match, perfect against so many splinters. And it's just a great little throw-in card. And the thing is, in a maximizer game, it could do so much for you considering the 4 speed. This is such a great card. It could be in the middle for you or the second for back card. It's definitely a strong card. That's why most of the blue cards are amazing. Only the summon is the downfall, but you don't have to play the summoner to play these cards, which is the great key part. But this is how I feel the blue cards are. I doubt that they will get any worse when time goes on. They might get power crept, but for now, every time you open a chest and you see a blue card, just be very happy that you're closer to leveling out. But this is how I feel about the blue card so far with the Soulbound. And for the next Splinter, we've got my second favourite Splinter in the game, the green Splinter. And for the first card, we will have the Hulk, which I'll put at alright. He's an alright card. For me, he increases green's dominance in the reverse speed wall type. Him having Void, it's okay considering you've got Immortalist now. You don't necessarily need it. His other stats pretty good. But now green has 2 taunts they could play. They could play at the front or at the back. They have 2 options. It gives green a bit more versatility. He's a pretty good card. He's a lot of mana though, but I feel a lot of green's good cards are a lot of mana. But that's why he's a pretty good card. He's not amazing because obviously the high mana and that's the slow speed. But he makes it so you don't have to play Immortalist for the Void. And so he's a great card. And for the next one, let's pick on this guy. He's alright. For me, the 6 mana makes him a good card, but him having no shields, it makes it so he comes up in certain rule types. But the 12 life is very good and his abilities are great. But for me, he's not a main tank because the minute all F1 attacks the first position, he's just going to die instantaneously. He might dodge a couple abilities, return a few things, but he won't change the game for you. He's an alright card, but you'll probably play other cards instead of him in that instance. But let's talk about the green Marty. For me, the green Marty's alright. He allows you to do double Marty with the Cora, which is a great thing to do, or double Marty with anything in green. Him having Affliction's a nice thing. I feel green's got so much Affliction now that it's definitely stopping anybody from healing. And in the mirror match, it's kind of going to be hard now for you to play any healing. But it's a great card for 3 mana, 4 speed. It's a change for a green to have some actual speed on the board. We'll call that medium speed anyway. But it's a good card. And then the next card, for me, this card's amazing. Let me explain to you why this card's amazing. It's not just the life leech, which we already have established, which is a great ability. It's the scatter shot Affliction and critics magic as well. But the scatter shot Affliction makes it so triage for once can actually be stopped. So any backline healing is going to be stopped now from this card. And I'm not sure there's many cards that do that. So for me, considering he can fill that one instance perfectly, and his cheap mana, he fits the MO for green, which is reverse speed, and the scatter shot Affliction. You can't ask for anything more. It's such an amazing card. And then another underwhelming card. Well, let's talk about another underwhelming card in green. It's this one here. For me, weapons training really comes down to how many great non-attacking cards that Splinter has. And for me, Fail Summoner's one card that we'll think of for green, but the rest of them we have great tanks. So the weapons training might not come up that much, and the pairing for this is terrible. We'll get into this card soon. But it's an alright card, considering green's got the summoner that allows a range from attack that can attack from anywhere. This card it fills a few instances, but it's not amazing. It's not, you'll play it sometimes. I feel with a lot of range cards, if they're not super impactful, you only play them sometimes. But the final card we have for green is, for me, the worst card in the whole Soulbound reward system. Is this one here. It's a straight bad. The pairing for this makes it weird, because it's like, oh, okay, he's gonna sit at the back with this card. Alright, cool. It does give you a bunch of pluses, but green's mainly known for its magic, so it's, for me, it's not a great card. It's an awkward mana, and with green, it's normally just everything's going to be attacking it straight damage. So for me, this card just, it don't fit the Splinter. It might be better in other Splinters, but for me, this is the worst Soulbound card. And I feel like green got alright support. It wasn't as good as the red or blue, but it was some good cards. But it may change down the line, and it having scatter shot affliction is big. That is going to come up in so many instances. It can change so many games. But this is how I feel about the green card so far. And the next Splinter we're going to pick is the Light or Life or Light, whichever you want to call it. And the first one we're going to be choosing is, the next beast card is this card here. I played in a ghost tournament with this card and it got me so far. It having Void, Healing, Magic Reflect, it being 7 mana, only 7 mana, and it's got so much health. It's such a good card. It's gonna win you so many games. It allows Light to be even more powerful in the odd mana only. It's such a good card, and I can't wait to get more of him. You can't ask anymore. You don't have to play Grandmaster Wraith anymore for the Void. Such a great card, and that's why he's up there with being a beast. And the next card we're going to be picking is the Taunt. As the Taunt being good. The Taunt's pretty good. It having Void is a weird one. Only a few Taunts have that card. That ability, I mean. And it having Marty means you can definitely set up a monster and control which card's going to be powered up and construct how the match will play out for a few turns. So this card's really good, but it's not amazing for a few instances. Just its life is so much, but it's such a high mana that you're only going to play in high mana games. When it's 99 mana, this card's going to be played every single time. And it's weird though, because with the Void and the Grandmaster Wraith, it's going to be very hard to get over. So I feel maybe as time goes on, this card could go up to amazing. But for now, it's going to sit at good. But it could go up. It's the card that could potentially go up the most. And the next card we're going to pick on is this one here. This card's alright. I feel a lot of the life cards are alright. It's got Cleanse, Thorns, Reflect Defense, and +1 damage. I feel Light has a lot of opportunities, sneak, it can get away with a few things. It's a pretty good card. And obviously it pairs with this card, 11 mana. It's an expensive pairing, but it's a pretty good card. You wouldn't necessarily play it by itself, but it can come up sometimes. I feel like it's got a lot of protection from Blast now. I feel like it's a very good Splinter. It's getting a bit more versatility, but it's just getting so much shield. It's always going to have so much shield. And for me, because of it's a pairing card, you'll never really play this card without it being paired with this. Because if you're going to look for a Rust, you would play Time Mage. There's a lot less mana, and it's pretty much the same shebang. It's definitely only playing it for this pairing, but this pairing is definitely strong. You can just play this wherever you want because it's magic. and it's going to do very well. And this would be a great like support card in that instances, but because it will only be played in that combo, it will only sit at alright, because it just won't be played by itself. And the next card we're going to be putting in alright would be this one here. Like I said, Light didn't get the best support, it just got some alright support. Again, it goes with the theme where Light's going to have a lot of flying monsters, so it'd do good in that water type like always. Shatter's great in the mirror match, but it's a high mana range card. I don't really rate range cards super highly. I feel range cards need to do a lot to be played on the board, because you only necessarily play one of them. And if you lose the game because your range card's in the first position, you just look at yourself like, oh, what am I doing? But it's an alright card. And for the final one, this card's pretty meh. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's got no shields, high mana, it's got high damage. Like, if it's 99 mana and melee can attack from anywhere or opportunity, it's a great card. You can necessarily play it at the back as like a sneak target because of the this ability here. But I feel maybe until it's been played a bit more, or we've seen more from it, until then, it's not necessarily a good card for me. It's just sitting at meh. And I feel a lot of Light was meh. There's one outstanding card, a good card, and everything else is just like, ah. It didn't really I don't feel a lot of these cards would be used in a Light strategy. I feel a lot of Light is already strong as it is. But this is how I feel about the Light so far. We can see if it changes down the line. And the next Splinter is Death. And where we're gonna start, let's give it its beast card, the Coyote. What can I say about this card? 2 mana, it's the best throwing card you could ever have in the world. Maximizer for 2 mana, he's just gonna do so much for you. Like, he's so good, there's so much you could talk about him and so much instances you could bring him up in. He's just gonna do so much. Obviously, he don't have loads of abilities. Like, he's definitely like probably gonna be like the top 5 throwing cards. And I feel like Death is slowly getting a lot more support and a lot more better. This card's so good for its mana cost, and that's why it's got to be Beast. It will just do so much for the amount of mana it costs. And every time it misses, you can be like, ah, it didn't cost me that much. But the next card we're going to talk about, this card's alright. Obviously it's an Archer card, so I have my personal gripes against them. But shields plus melee, it does things against taunt cards. It's alright, it's a situational card, but it's got good support. So it's a good support card for 4 mana. But it's a situational support. And in some situationals, it will fill up a lot of things. But again, it's not great. It's just a good card. It will come up in a few instances. But Death, like I said, they got great support. They got another beast card. They decided to give Death the Bloodlust this time, and they also gave it heals. So if it keeps, I could probably make a whole video on this card. They had to give it 1 speed just to hold it back. If they gave it any more speed, it'd be too powerful. But flying, bloodlust, tank kill. What more do you want? Self-heal, not tank kill. It's just so good. And it having magic, it can be played anywhere. Once it eventually gets to the tank position, it'll be doing so much for you. It could win you games. Like, I can't wait to see Marty strategies for this. It's gonna be such a big player. But the next card we got, this card's alright. That's what I mean. I feel like Death got a lot of great support. It's got weapon training, and its pairing with this, this card is very good. I feel like some of the non-attacking cards that came from Soulbound there was two good ones, and the rest were kind of bad. They're situational, and considering there's only going to be a pairing for it, that you have to force 2 cards into your team. But this giving this card Resurrect, that means Death now has double Resurrect strategies. And with Marty right now, with Resurrect, loads of things are going on. The meta is changing. I feel like speed may be getting crept out for Marty strategies with Resurrects, but we don't know. But I like this card considering it's following the Death strategy that they're trying to go with right now. Considering we might not have worked it out, it feels that suit. And the free magic is really great, and considering the pairing it goes with, I think it's a pretty good card. And because it gives you access to making one of the best cards in the Soulbound set playable and better. Not because it's already playable as it is, that makes it better. But let's talk about the card that I'm talking about. This card is absolutely amazing, because you can play this with Thaddeus and now you're -2 magic. It's just so good. And because you can pair it with this, now this pairing could be anywhere on the board, and if you play Void Armor and as your tank, you can play non-damage strategies with Resurrection. You can do a lot of things. This combo can bring so much strategy to Death. I feel like Death is slowly going to power creep up higher now with the new Soulbound cards. But let's talk about the best card art in the whole of the Soulbound set. But it's not necessarily one of the best cards. It's alright. It's alright. But it's the best card art. I feel like in a maximizer game, this card could be a tank for you, considering it's got speed, and the cripple will be great. I feel like they're giving Death a lot of cripple at the moment, which is kind of funny. But a double tap, you know I like my double tap. It's kind of weird for me to have a double tap kind of low. But when Medic can attack from anywhere, this card's going to be great. This card can be played every single time. But the problem is it's susceptible for opportunity. A deep lurker will kill this instantly. And because it's low life, and you need to kind of have it in the rule type where Medic attack from anywhere or opportunity, it becomes super situational. But the card art, if I was rating it on the card art, it'd be Beast, probably the best. But I'm rating it on how good it is, and it's alright. But this is how I feel about Death. It definitely got power crept up a little bit with the Soulbound cards, and I can't wait to see new strategies from them. And now we got the neutral cards. And let's start with the card that everybody be using, the Beast card. We might as well have him at the start, because everybody be using this card. You can get away with him as a single BCX, and he's probably being used in champs. He basically allows you to play double Marty. He's the only way you can play double Marty. The other abilities are alright, but all we care about is the Marty at single BCX level 1. He just allows you to be able to double Marty so much great monsters benefit from the double Marty. And that's why he's basically, you could probably say he's the best card for the utility and everything else. I didn't rate him at the beginning when they first came out. But now I've seen him being played, he's amazing. He's a top tier card. And let's go for a bottom tier card for neutral, which is this card here. It's a mare card. It's basically like the Hungry Skull. It'll die the minute magic attacks it. It would die. You can use it as a sneak target at the back, but if magic sneak becomes a thing, this card will just die instantly. And it's super situational. Yeah, it'll be great in a maximizer great game type, but apart from that, it's kind of bad. Or so I say. But another card, in my mind, this is basically like the Time Wizard from Yu-Gi-Oh! But this is a pretty good card, for the sheer fact that it gives any team plus speed, rust, and plus life. It's a great utility card, support card, 4 mana. It's not too much. in my mind, it could have been more mana. It's a great neutral card. It could help any team. I feel like if speed becomes super meta again, because I feel like Marty's the current meta, like this card would be used a lot more if the speed be needed. But right now it's the Marty. Everyone who's in the map, the rat. Rat is king. Ratatouille, it's all about you. And now let's go with a card that's kind of cool, but is alright. Recharge is a weird ability. We all have our gripes with it, yeah, that it's not that good. But when it works, it's amazing. Uriel is a great example of that. But this card having camouflage means that it's got more of a chance of the recharge coming out. But it being a range card means that like it could miss a lot. But camouflage, recharge, that's a good combo. So for me, it's an alright card. And for the final neutral card, we have Dry Bones. And for Dry Bones, it's a pretty amazing card. Considering it's got 2 forms of attack and it double taps, that it's just so good. 12 mana is a lot. The life is kind of low. We could talk about that. That's its kind of downside. But I feel if it had any more life, it'd be too overpowered. But shout out Cripple. That's pretty amazing. You couldn't really ask for more. And in melee attack from anywhere, this card is going to be doing so much for you. You can't ask for any more from this card. It's pretty amazing. But that's what I think about neutral so far. And finally, we have the dragon cards. For me, this card here is pretty amazing. Like I said, salvage is a key ability. And for 1 mana, this could do so much. And if you could put any sort of weapon training from another Splinter onto this card, it could be doing so much more things. And the redemption is great. It could maybe play a good factor in Little League, considering not many cards have a lot of life in Little League. But it's a great card, so for me, I put it in amazing. And for the last Soulbound card, we're gonna give you an alright. For me, I guess this allows you to be able to put weapons training twice in the team, but 10 mana for weapons training and it'd be a range. I don't feel that this card's gonna get played a lot. I feel it's not gonna find a place in many teams. Maybe considering range only is a thing now, that it might get played. But I feel like its other abilities don't do enough for it. And I feel like the only thing it's going to be doing is giving people double weapon training. So maybe he'll pair well with Kuda Mastermind. But apart from that, I think he's alright. He's not bad, he's not good, he's just alright. But this is my tier list. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of it. And again, subscribe for more playtime content, and I'll see you all again soon.